So let's take a slow cruise into the Port Elizabeth harbour and go and visit the PE TVET College campuses. Now, the PE harbour used to be called Algoa Bay, meaning in Portuguese, to Goa. And Goa was a famous port in India where lots of export and imports happened. And the reason why the Portuguese were rounding Africa was to try and get to Goa to trade. So this was to Goa. And Delagoa Bay, by the way, means from Goa. So the Portuguese were rounding the Cape. They were stopping over here to get fresh water and supplies from the locals. This was 500 years ago. Going to trade in India and then coming back via what we now know as Maputo, or the old Lorenzo Marques, Delagoa Bay. Now, PE is the second oldest city in South Africa, and it was founded in 1820, that supposedly famous date when the British settlers arrived to create a buffer zone. And if you look, you can see that monument over there, that brown brick tower. That's called the Campanile, and that's to remember the 1820 settlers. And you can see by the churches this old, rich colonial history. And in fact, PE College has got a lot of buildings like that. So you're going to see this Russell Road main campus, the business campus. It's got these gorgeous old red bricks. And then right next to it, you're going to see a kind of a slate roof building. That's their hospitality campus. And then a little bit further down, which we're going to go to now, you'll see the Erica campus, which is the main office. Now, PE College is the largest college in the Eastern Cape. It was also formed in that 2002-2003 set of mergers which happened. And for them, it was three basic technical colleges. Bethelsdorp, Ikayia, which means pride in Xhosa, and this campus, the Russell Road campus, with these three gorgeous buildings located in the old historical PE. We're just flying past the central office, and now we're going to move back to the Russell Road School of Business. And really, they're proud of this campus. It offers all the business qualifications you could hope for. So you can do finance, economics, and accounting. You can do IT and CS. You can do all the marketing qualifications. You can do all sorts of short skills, by the way. Bookkeeping, technical and financial accounting. So it really does a lot of business qualifications. And they're also proud of this campus, the tourism site. They call it the Victoria site. And it's a fully fledged hospitality and tourism place. It's got its own functioning travel agency. It's got a bed and breakfast. It's got a restaurant. It's got a deli. I understand it's got a hairdressing site, so you can get your hair cut. It's clearly advertised on Google Maps. The one spot is like a place where you can go get food. So let's pull back over the old St. George's cricket ground. And we're going to move down again to the harbour. And I just want you to look out for the kind of infrastructure that is in that part of Port Elizabeth. Look out for the strong highways, the railway lines running through, the harbour being able to export and import. And the reason why I'm talking about that is because the campus we're going to is located bang in between two major engine assembly plants, both of which are making engines for South Africa and for the world. The Ford engine assembly plant and Isuzu. So let's go there via the Nelson Mandela Stadium. And as we transition now from the old historically white Port Elizabeth, we're moving into the space which was forced to be black. There was a lot of black relocations here, not just during apartheid, but all the way through the late 19th and 20th centuries. And it is also a place of great resistance and struggle. So this was the site in 1952 where you had the Defiance campaign against unjust laws of apartheid. This was where the first big struggle started to happen. So it's very fitting that this campus is called the Ikayia campus, meaning self-respect and pride, standing up for yourself. But before we take a look at this engineering campus in more detail, let's fly over the Isuzu and the Ford assembly plants. Now, what they're doing on one level is deeply impressive. That Ford plant can produce one engine every 2 minutes, which is astonishing. The way it does it is through a division of labor where it has around about 110 sites where a person stands and then adds a certain part onto the actual engine. So no one person makes the engine as a whole. Each person's responsible for a small part of the engine. And you have to ask yourself what that does to the vocational education space, where the person working in these factories has a fragmented role. He only does one skill rather than the whole thing. That's not a job for a civil engineer or electrical engineer or a mechanical engineer. That's a job for someone with a skill. So that becomes a real issue in the vocational education space. That said, this campus really does offer the students an opportunity to learn. It's got fully equipped workshops. It can do really effective work integrated learning. You can do electrical, civil, mechanical engineering. You can do all sorts of short courses like welding and house wiring and hydraulics. So it's an effective campus, and I would take that any day. So let's lift off from the Ikaiya campus and let's fly over the salt pans, the salt lake. And I just want you to imagine what this was like 5, 6, 7, 800 years ago when the San and the Khoi were living in this area. The salt was white. There was gorgeous blue lakes. There was just herds of game everywhere. It was an exquisite area to live in. There was grass and trees wherever you looked. So we've done some damage to this place in the meantime. We're flying over to the Dawa campus now. This was an old teachers' college, and it's the only place that has got a residence system. It has about 1,500, 1,600 students, and it also has an obstacle course, which is much needed for the characters doing safety in society, which is the policing qualification. But it's not all about just trying to catch criminals and do civil policing over here. You also can do things like business management, HR management. You can be a management assistant. You can do public management. It's basically another business campus. So let's pull out of the Dar campus, the old Bethelsdorp Teachers College, and then it was also a technical college at a certain stage. And let's firstly remember the salt pans, which used to be teeming with game, with the San and the Khoi living in this area. Beautiful blue streams running through, and then start to look towards your left for the industrial area, Struandale with the Ikaiya School of Engineering, and then in the distance you can see the white privileged old colonial Port Elizabeth with those gorgeous colonial buildings which we'd seen at the beginning. And then let's pull out over the Cape Fold Mountains, which used to be bigger than the Himalayas. Look out for the gorgeous eagle, which is what I call PE, with the wings stretched out with the white tips. And you know where PE, that's where I see the face of the eagle and the beak of the eagle with the wings stretching out to both sides. And then start to think about how complex this vocational space is within South Africa, where you are caught between all these complex histories, and then we have a modern world which is systematically on the one side trying to provide people with employment, but on the other side breaking skills up, fracturing them out, so that what happens is instead of doing a profession, you'll end up only being able to do one skill at a time.